On a dark evening in Japan, a man approaches two individuals in a remote area. Willem turns around, noticing the individual approaching them. His partner also turns, commenting that nobody will notice a scuffle out here. As the man comes closer, it becomes clear that he's addressing Kure Raian, whom Willem had presumed to be dead. Willem complains about the inconvenience of the situation, telling Raian that he should know when to give up, especially after getting his butt handed to him a year ago. Pulling out a knife, Willem's partner, Sean Wu, warns him to be careful. He points out that Raian's samurai sword looks like an odachi, judging by its length. Sean knows the weapon's freakishly long range will pose a problem, so he advises taking Raian out before he can draw it. Preparing for a fight, Willem tells Raian that he's not getting away this time. Once Raian is dead, Willem claims, the Kure clan will be finished. Willem then declares he's going to send Raian on a one-way trip to hell. However, Raian merely smirks eerily and says, "It's feeding time, Otakamaru. Let's start with the appetizer." Raian draws the blade from its scabbard, addressing it as if it's alive. He tells the blade to slake its thirst and reminds it that this is just the appetizer. Raian then dual-wields the katana and its scabbard, prompting Willem to question whether he's bluffing, as he knows that the nodachi is far too big to be used one-handed. Sean warns Willem again, reminding him that Raian is the strongest member of the Kure clan, so they must stay sharp and approach with caution. Hearing Sean's constant warnings, Willem is annoyed that his own henchman is giving him orders. Raian interrupts their conversation, mocking them for being on guard. He tells them it doesn't matter, since they're already doomed, and their fate was sealed the moment they caught his attention. The scene transitions to a flashback. Kure Ario, in his final moments, tells Raian that he must surpass Edward Wu. He warns that Edward's brother, Howard Wu, is still out there and that Howard's power rivals Edward's. If he were to face Howard now, Ario says, Raian would be digging his own grave. Raian rudely interrupts, telling his grandfather to shut up, questioning whether Ario saw him kill Edward. But Ario insists Raian should not tempt fate. Finally, Ario offers some unsolicited advice: if Raian seeks greater power, he should head north. Deep in the uncharted mountains of Tohoku, where the patriarchs of the Kure clan have trained for generations, he will find a special item. Otakamaru, a bewitched sword that has gorged on blood for 1,000 years. He tells Raian to master the Otakamaru. The fight begins as Willem goes on the attack with his axe, but Raian lets go of the katana for a brief moment and shoves the scabbard onto Willem's liver area, which catches him off guard, as he wonders if Raian hadn't let go of his sword on purpose. Raian talks to his sword again, telling it that feeding is gonna have to wait. Raian strikes at Willem again, as Sean rushes at him from behind. Raian shifts his body again, striking Sean, while Willem evades the strike. Sean blocks the scabbard, but his knife gets knocked out of his hand. Willem strikes again from behind, but Raian dodges. However, Sean lands a kick onto Raian's arm, which knocks him back. Willem engages Raian while Sean waits for him to look away. As soon as Raian looks away, Sean flanks him, picking up the knife and charges at Raian. Unfortunately for him, Raian slices his head in half horizontally, killing Sean instantly, as he fends off Willem with his scabbard. Willem blocks Raian's strike and counters with a strike of his own, striking the sword, which causes Raian to stumble back from the impact. Noticing Willem's impressive physique, Raian comments that he's jacked as hell. However, Willem is angered that Raian killed his only henchman. Responding to Raian's comment about his physique, Willem transforms into his Guehun state at a 100%, stating that he doesn't have Superman syndrome for nothing. Willem possesses an innate physical strength afforded by Superman syndrome, which is then combined with the latent power unleashed by Guehun. Raian swings the katana at Willem, who blocks the attack, and returns a strike of his own, which shatters Raian's scabbard. Willem recalls achieving a 100% Guehun release rate in the past year. With Superman syndrome and Guehun combined, he wagers that he possesses the strongest muscles in the world. Confident, Willem declares himself to be on a completely different level than the past generation Westward faction members who lost to Raian. In an instant, Willem leaps at Raian, swinging his axe. Raian blocks the strike, then deflects 3 more successive blows, each clashing against his sword. Willem observes Raian's movements and deduces that his swordsmanship is self-taught. Willem believes this works to his advantage, as he has superior weapon skills. Capitalizing on this, Willem rushes forward and catches Raian's katana with his axe, forcing it out of his grip. The blade flies across the ground. Raian, unperturbed, adjusts his stance and warns Willem not to jump to conclusions. "Did you think I'd rely solely on an old sword?" "It's just a tool," Raian remarks, his tone taunting. Willem evaluates the situation. He notes that while Guihan enhances his power, it doesn't improve stamina, and the same applies to Raian. Confident that his Superman syndrome gives him the upper hand, Willem is irritated that Raian is conserving his strength. Determined to end the fight before Raian resorts to using removal, Willem prepares his clan's ultimate technique, 13-fold kill. Charging at Raian, Willem thrusts his palm forward as a feint, and follows it with a powerful punch aimed at his opponent. But the attack fails as Raian counters with a swift kick to Willem's face. Raian then maneuvers behind Willem, aiming for another strike. Willem reacts quickly, spinning around to stop Raian with an uppercut. However, Raian ducks under the blow and counters with his Kure clan's traditional techniques, depth charge, launching a devastating liver punch to Willem. The strike forces Willem to stagger back. Raian, unfazed, taunts him, "What's the matter? Holding back on me?" Steeling himself, Willem shifts into a grappling stance, which Raian states that's a good move since his monster strength is better used for grappling. Willem charges forward and grabs one of Raian's legs, attempting a takedown, but Raian simply smirks as Willem pushes him back, remaining calm and confident while Willem focuses intently on overpowering him. But focus turns into confusion as Willem realizes he can no longer overpower Raian. Raian mocks Willem's claim of having the strongest muscles in the world, calling it false advertising. In fact, he can think of at least 2 meatheads who are beefier than Willem. Raian then wraps his arm around Willem's neck and throws him off his leg. Willem sits on the floor, understandably confused, but his attention is soon drawn to Raian's katana still lying on the ground. Seizing the opportunity, he picks it up. However, Willem misjudges the blade's weight, struggling to even move it. Shocked by how heavy the weapon is, he freezes, prompting Raian to laugh and point out that the blade looks heavier than it seems. He reveals that the katana actually weighs over 20 kilos. But 20 kilos shouldn't be a problem for the strongest muscles in the world, Raian mocks, continuing to taunt Willem. He adds that the real challenge isn't just the weight, it's the sword's center of gravity. Raian elaborates further, explaining that this weapon is unlike an average sword. The weight is unevenly distributed, making it significantly more unwieldy than its raw mass suggests. Suddenly, Willem summons all his strength and swings the blade downward, attempting to cut Raian in half. But Raian stops the massive blade effortlessly with just his fingers, despite Willem's immense strength. Raian laughs, asking Willem, the supposed strongest muscles in the world, what's wrong. With a flick of his wrist, Raian pulls the katana from Willem's hands. Holding it aloft, he spins it casually before adding, "The sword is just a tool, but now I can see the flow of power as clear as day." At this point, Willem knows he's outmatched. He realizes Raian didn't overpower him, he simply neutralized his strength, targeting the points of force, just like the connector. However, this realization comes too late. Raian slashes sideways, slicing clean through Willem's head, killing him instantly. As he walks away, Raian glances back at Willem's lifeless body. "Goodbye, messenger," he says coldly. "And do me a favor, say hi to Gilbert for me. Subscribe, or Kure Raian pulls up at your house."